Well, it's October. Guess we should look at some spooky comics. And what could be spookier than decaying corpses, life-sucking parasites, death trains, truth, justice, and the American way. Hello, Winternet! Welcome to Tales to Showcase, where we believe that Lex Luthor is either hiding out in Tibet or having children with the Sasquatch. What? It's a theory. I'm your host, the Watcher of New Earth. Well, as I said, it's October, and I'm addressing this the second week of the month instead of the first because... Shut up! Anyway, to start off the festivities, why don't we begin with one of the least scary superheroes ever, Superman. Oh god, no, not that one! Oh, that's better. Published in 1991, The Adventures of Superman number 481 was written by Jerry Ordway, a writer, penciler, and inker known for his extensive work over at DC, and drawn by Tom Grummett, whose other works include The New Titans, Superboy, and Robin. So now, while we're young, and still have flesh on our bones, let's fly into The Adventures of Superman number 481. Our story opens with Jimmy Olsen begging something not to pull away. He's obviously talking to Zack Snyder. He knows once the camera pulls away... Actually, Jimmy was trying to catch the subway to go to an interview with Newstime magazine, since he's been fired from the Daily Planet. Ironically, he's late because he stopped to buy a copy of the Daily Planet. He throws it on the floor and hurries to catch the bus. The paper then flies down the tunnel and catches onto the leg of a shadowy figure. Litterbugs. I hate litterbugs. Nothing says menacing supervillain more than being environmentally friendly. The mystery figure stands on the train track, causing it to crackle with electricity and stop the train. He then approaches the train and rips off the door. Good bread, good meat, good God, let's eat. Mr. Obvious Supervillain, sir. I don't think this is the subway that was telling you to eat fresh. We then join Clark Kent and Lois Lane having breakfast at a coffee shop. The owner, who I believe is supposed to be a caricature of Kevin Dooley, says that he's glad that Clark and Lois are still around, even with the layoffs. They are all noticeably acting cold to Sam Foswell, the man responsible for all the firings. Do they all hate me because I fired people? Or is it just because I fired that Olsen kid? See? This guy understands that messing with Jimmy Olsen has unforeseen backlash. And even still, Snyder thought it was a good idea to introduce him and kill him off for no reason. I'm sorry to harp on it, but it just really gets on my nerves. Also, we hate you because you're obviously trying to imitate the Alfred Pennyworth look. Meanwhile, Jimmy continues to struggle to get to his interview. However, at newstime, his interview has been given to Ron Troop, a reporter who will eventually come to work at the Daily Planet. Troop's interview gets interrupted because the interviewer is running for mayor and needs to review slogans. Troop helps greatly, even offering a new slogan. And if Back to the Future has taught us anything, it's that you always help future mayors. The interviewer takes a liking to Troop and offers him the job. Outside, Jimmy is just arriving, but as he sees the two in the office, his hope fails and he leaves. Why? You didn't know for sure that the job was taken? Superman doesn't like quitters, Jimmy! We cut back to the subway train as Bill Henderson, a detective for the Metropolis Police Department, and Maggie Sawyer, head of the Special Crimes Unit for the MPD, are inspecting the crime scene. It seems that everyone on the train was reduced to nothing but a rotting skeleton. At the Daily Planet, Foswell sends Clark to do a report on the train incident, saying that it'll make the front page if he gets it to him before 2. Clark doesn't seem too happy about the idea of more death on the front page, sensing that Foswell will turn the planet into a tabloid. Next thing you know, Sam Foswell will be printing Lex Luthor and Elvis Presley sightings. What, like sightings of them together? Luthor isn't cool enough to hang with Elvis. As Soups arrives, there are a few policemen outside. Hey, look, it's him. Where was he when this happened? How dare you? How dare you question Superman? Where the hell were you when this happened, you over-glorified security guard? Superman arrives at the crime scene and is horrified at the sight of the corpses. In a possible reference to the darkening crimes in Metropolis, Superman becomes a silhouette with only his logo and belt remaining colored, a la Batman. I have to admit, I really like the subtle comparison to Batman, but the logo just looks huge. I mean, it's supposed to only be at his chest, but the way it's drawn shows that it's clearly near his belly button. That, or he has his belt halfway up his torso. It seems that Superman feels like he's let the city down, but Henderson tries to reassure him that things are bad everywhere. I can't accept that, Bill. Metropolis doesn't have to be like everywhere else. So, maybe it doesn't have to get completely demolished just because other movies got away with it. Superman uses his infrared vision to pick up the culprit's track and is on his way. We cut to Lana Lang and Peter Ross, who are currently in Washington, D.C. because of Pete's work. Pete invites Lana over for a movie, and she says she'll meet him in his apartment in a few minutes. When Pete enters his apartment, he finds a message from Clark. Apparently he's been trying to reach Lana, but she's not answering. When he asks about it, she politely shuts him down and says that the movie's starting. Pete asks what movie they're watching, and she says that it's about a janitor who gets in radioactive waste and becomes a superhero. He says that seems a little bit of a stretch. I'll stick to my reality of solar-powered aliens and Amazonian princesses. Thank you very much. Back in the subway, the disguised figure continues to break through support walls, but he appears to be weakening. As he's about to grab onto another track to recharge, Superman catches up to him. However, the guy doesn't seem too upset to see him. Superman! Boy, am I glad you came along. Those others weren't very satisfying. But you I could really sink my teeth into. That joke might have worked. If this guy actually bit his victims. Superman has his strength sapped, and the villain flees. Supes musters his remaining strength and is in pursuit, catching him not too far ahead. You're not walking away from this, slimeball.
Don't move, slimeball.
Now, more or less evenly matched, a fight breaks out. The book is well drawn overall, but this is easily the best sequence in the issue. You can feel the power in every punch, and it doesn't go on for too long. The fight ends when Superman is knocked into a support column and the whole tunnel starts to come down. Rather than give chase to the culprit, Superman stays to make sure the street above doesn't cave in. So, he let the villain get away. That's a character flaw. Letting the bad guy get away to stop collateral damage? Gee, who'd have thought Superman could have character flaws while still being a morally righteous hero that continues to inspire around the world? So, yeah, he manages to prevent the structure from falling, but he naturally feels crappy for letting the criminal get away. This isn't helped by Foswell congratulating him for getting the article in on time. Later that night, Maggie Sawyer calls Amanda Waller about the subway killer, and Waller reveals that it was more than likely the escapee from Belle Reve, Rudy Jones, aka the Parasite. Of course, every true Superman fan already knew that. Them and everyone else that watched Superman the Animated Series. Anyway, that was the Adventures of Superman number 481, and yeah, this issue's pretty great. The story's pretty solid, even though there is some omitted information, but that's more a side effect of having 4 Superman titles, not necessarily a fault of the writer. The art is also really good. Nothing groundbreaking, but it doesn't have to be. Overall, a pretty good read for any Superman fan. Hopefully we'll be able to return to this storyline someday. But for next week, we need to return to a storyline featuring a god butcher and everybody's favorite pig-headed thunder god. Until then, as always, thank you for joining me and I'll see you next time. This is the Watcher of New Earth, signing off.